and gentlemen, we are tonight's entertainment.
Where conversations flow so free. He big like just telling Philly DC. Bringing you the knowledge, come and see. The border is the place to be. Where conversations flow so free. He big like just telling Philly DC. Bringing you the knowledge, come and see. Step into the corner where knowledge finds its way with Pete, Big Mike, Jess, Dell, and Philly DC. Every day they bring the laughter, bring the tales. A podcast segment that never ever fails. Pete, the host with charm and grace, leads the conversations at a steady pace. Big Mike brings the humor, making us smile with jokes and stories that go the extra mile. Yeah. And then there's Jess, the wise and thoughtful voice, shares insights that make us rejoice. The deep thinker with unique perspective expands our minds with thoughts that are so reflective. Last but not least, there's Philly DC, captivates us with stories and he knows the streets. Yeah, together they create a harmonious blend.
We got a special guest that just came into the corner. We'll go ahead and bring it on with it. Hurry up. We'll bring it in right now. Y'all know I haven't really met him.
Yeah, stop hating. Hey, stop hating. Stop hating.
What's up,
Stop hating. Stop hating.
What's up, what? What's going on?
Hey, yo, let me get a time check real quick. You hear me loud?
Loud as shit, man. Loud as shit. Look like he official. So, welcome to the corner, Al. Welcome to the corner. It's good to have you on.
What's up?
Man, what's up, bro?
Brother, how you been?
So tune into the corner, let your mind explore. Pete, Big Mike, just Philly DC for sure.
No doubt.
Their
So,
voices will
my
guide
name
you
is
through topics far
Al
and
Price
wide in
on
the corner. Knowledge and
Hey,
entertainment
you the
combined.
We go ahead and bring him in. Cheers. A bunch of
We
cheers,
got
my
you
man.
sick.
What up, Big Jackson?
Hey, let me hit you back, Nate.
What the world? I'm gonna be on.
Here we go. Here we go.
You tell me, what's up?
Wait a minute. Hey, you know, hey, Philly all day, baby. Philly all day. Listen.
Yeah, we got another guest. We got another guest in the building, man. So we'll bring him right here. He should be on there, but he ain't. But we'll bring him right in. Y'all know him as Dale. We call him Landale or Big Dale or Big Brown. What's up, big homie? What's good?
He ain't no damn guest. He ain't no.
Man, where you at looking fresh? Where you at?
But you in Marshall? You in Marshall? Hey, look at that.
What the fuck, bro?
Bringing you the knowledge, come and see.
What up?
You see my glasses? You didn't say nothing about my glasses.
Yeah, there.
Got my glasses.
You know
on.
what? What's the term they say? Flattery is I forgot what it's called. Anyway, but I'm influencing you. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad to see that.
You know what?
Before
right.
we start the show,
You're right.
I want everybody to take a look at your boy. I look good. I mean, look at this beard, bro. I was getting all kinds of love on that cruise, man. You know, Wendy is a lucky girl. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my gal.
Bruh.
But she's a lucky girl because, man, do I look good, man. Hey, drop a comment below if you think your boy look good with this beard.
Thanks. Hey, thanks, two C's. Thanks for the compliment about the intro. I was cool. Yeah, you got compliments about how you look. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, man. Look, Salt and Pepper Gang, baby. You should have saw that hat I had on too. I was looking good.
You should still have the hat on. But anyway, You should still have the hat on. But anyway,
Hey, you
I
know
actually
what they
like this
say?
look with the glasses on because this light is really
What's that?
bright. So it actually looks cool with the glasses on. Appreciate that.
Okay, so first of all, like I was saying, I only wear the glasses on the corner,
Yeah.
not on any other show. So I just want to make sure I make that well known. So please don't get the idea that every week you're going to wear these sunglasses because that's not the
No,
whole point.
no. I feel like Stevie Wonder right now.
Yeah, you do look like him.
Give us
What's up,
Stevie
boy?
Wonder
What's
on.
going on with you? How was your past couple of weeks?
Hey, ain't nothing too bad, man. Just back at work doing the work thing, so ain't nothing too bad. Got some user lose I got to burn up, getting ready for AFSA in a couple weeks, so just
Oh
gearing up for all
yeah.
that. Yeah. But
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
about
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's about
Yeah,
it. Just
so
working hard, hardly working. Hold on. What's this? Command Chief is officially dropped out. What? Commander in Chief officially dropped out. POTUS stepped down. Let's chat about what?
Oh, I knew that was gonna happen. I knew that was going. Oh, let's talk about this.
Wait a minute.
Let's
I didn't
talk
even
ab-
see that.
No, let's talk about this. Let me clear my ears real quick.
That was
All right, before
so
we talk,
crazy. You just cleared
but
your
before,
ears.
yeah, I had these ear problems. I won't go into detail, but anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. But first,
No, can we get
there's a
to that
couple of
right now?
things.
The people want to get to that.
Can I plug the AFSA thing? Pause. Let me cook a little bit. Let me cook. All right. So, friends and fam, UPC family, your boy Philly DC, and this guy here, Pete. We will
That's
be
crazy.
at AFSA. We will be at AFSA in a couple of weeks, and we're going to be walking around. We're going to be giving out some T-shirts, and we're going to be chopping it up with y'all. So we will be doing a impromptu show during AFSA, whether it be probably will be in the evening time. But if you're interested, we will let you know where we're at. Drop in if you like. If not, just listen to us live. But we're gonna talk about AFSA, what's going on at AFSA, and a bunch of other things. It would be great to see you guys out there because I know y'all going to AFSA. Oh, I finally get my T-shirt. Chad, we're gonna get you your T-shirt, bro. I'm sorry. And you know what? I will personally make sure we get you your T-shirt that day. I apologize for that. But I digress. Again, real quick, we will be at AFSA. So one of the things we're gonna feature, as you know, every corner, we have the What the Duck Award, right? So my baby, my gal, creative as she is, because I couldn't come up with a great design. She beat me easily.
Facts.
We have this T-shirt, so I'm gonna show you. I got it on now. It's the What the Duck T-shirt.
You can't even see it.
Beautiful. You can't see it.
Oh, your mic's in the way. That's so bad.
Hold on.
Such bad production.
How's
Thank
this?
you.
How's
Yeah,
this?
better.
See? What the duck? See? Beautiful, isn't it?
It is
Nice
nice.
little T-shirt. It's got my name on it. I don't want to fall on the other side.
Appreciate that.
Oh, I will try to put in the comments the image that's going to be on the T-shirt. So we'll be giving out 5 of these at AFSA.
Just 5?
For folks who show up. Yeah, just 5, because we're going to eventually sell these joints. So if you're going to be at AFSA, you're going to get the exclusive joints. And then we're going to put them up for folks to buy the T-shirt. So the whole point of buying a T-shirt is to plug the show, right? So anyway, all right, I'll be quiet because it looks like my co-host here. I don't know why he's got his mouth wide open.
Yo, I literally this just came across my freaking phone.
And this is not news. I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was.
Okay, it's a one thing knowing it's going to happen and it actually happening. That's like having the winner. Go ahead.
No, I'll be honest. I knew that was going to happen. It's funny. Wendy and I was having a big debate about it. And so, fun fact, real quick, I am a registered Republican. I know it's going to sound weird, but I am. And just bear with me because of Ronald Reagan. I love Ronald Reagan when I was a kid because he fought against the Soviets. So I'm big with Ronald Reagan. So that's when I registered as a Republican. But I won't go into details of what I feel about this election. But based on what's happening, I was telling Wendy, I said, look, after what happened to President Trump or former President Trump, the Democrats, they're going to have to do something. They're losing momentum. The Republican committee, their fan base is frenzy.
Hold on real quick.
And after the debate, I knew that was going to happen.
Anything that
Oh,
comes
yeah.
from Unpopular Celebrity Podcast is all unofficial. Unofficial. None of the conversations or comments from us or the guests represent DOD or the armed forces as a whole. All right. Yo, I know Chief Golf put this out there. So, Chief, you want to chime in? Go ahead. Because I'm really just looking at this for the first time right now. So, y'all are getting breaking news from the unpopular. Breaking news from the Unpopular Celebrities podcast, and y'all hearing our reaction live. First of all, Senior Mick Williams, congratulations on big retirement. Congratulations on that. Good luck on the retirement going forward. I know you got a chief in the house, so you're still gonna be making that big money, big millionaire money. But so I heard your comments real quick. So you said you knew this was coming. You knew it was coming after the I don't know if I can do this, but I'm gonna do it. Assassination attempt by former President Trump. That's when you knew?
No, it was a number of reasons. One, after the debate between former President Trump and President Biden, it was bad. And everyone knows that, our president is, pretty old, as well as President Trump. But there was cases there has been a call that President Biden's cognitive ability was off. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you got. It's funny you stopped the whole conversation about that.
Okay,
all of a sudden you see
I'm
that comment.
I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. Hey, you know what? True story, y'all. When I was on a cruise, I had some lady walk up to me and she says, "Hey, handsome, are you married?" I said, "What do you think?" Anyway, I digress. So the debate, and then what happened during when the attempted assassination of former President Trump. It just seemed like the Democratic Party's sales were starting to go down. But I mean, sales is like their morale. And there were folks in the camp, at least from what I've seen on news, that were really talking about President Biden needs to sit down. And I knew that was going to happen. So what would be interesting is who's going to take his place. Is it going to be Vice President Kamala Harris?
Hell
Or
no.
someone else. Anyway, I'll be quiet.
Yeah.
Oh, you said
hell no.
You said hell no.
Hell no.
I would love to hear your thoughts on that one.
Okay.
No, you open the door. You open the door. Why would you say hell no? You open the door, bro. Go ahead. Come on.
Look.
Don't be a wuss now.
No, for real. I just don't think she'd be a good candidate for the president, to be honest.
Okay,
That's
tell us
just my
why. Tell us why real quick.
She's invisible. Yo, you know who would win right now? You know who would really win? Can I just talk about who would really win for the Democrats?
Who?
Bro, Michelle Obama.
Okay, I will give you that. I will give you that.
Hands down. She would, she's the only one I could think of from the Democratic Party off the top of my head that can come to late and just actually have a shot. Okay.
I would agree with you with that.
And you know what? It's so not embarrassing, but it just hurts my soul as an American. I love being American. That we have these troubles like this. And this is why other countries that have emperors and prime ministers and stuff like that, they don't have these problems. We're trying to do things fairly. We're trying to do, new president every 4 years, but it's just like, what are we really doing right now? And this is what I'm talking about. McWilliams, see, I'm glad you're retired so you can say it. And I know she is so quiet. We never hear anything from the vice president. That's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel. For all this hype, and now it makes me think the President Biden, who I respect, hired her just for the vote to try to influence voters. That's it. Man, we're getting a lot of viewers. We're getting a lot of viewers. Let me calm down.
Hey, you know what? Hey, mad respect for you for saying that.
Oh,
because here's why. I know you're treading on, thin ice, but let's be honest, man. We're not saying anything disparaging about, our commander in chief or the vice president. We're not saying that. We're saying it as voters, as citizens, right? And fun fact, I actually agree with you. I think I am worried about if I came back just in time. Shout out to 2C's, man. I hope you enjoy your retirement, man. You're doing big things. So, but I had this debate with my lovely bride all the time. And if she's listening, hey, I love you, babe. But I know Kamala Harris is she is African American or have mix of African American.
Ooh, I can't
And
wait
then
to
also
answer that.
she's a female. And also she is a AKA. Shout out to the AKA members out there. Ski wee, if I can say that. Ski wee. All right. But I got it. But I want the best person. Well, number one, let's be honest. We always want the person in it who values what we want, what we believe in internally. Not everybody else, but what I see or what I want out of a president, right? And vice president. And so for Kamala Harris, what I do agree, I think there are matters that are going on in the world that I think she's absent from, namely national security. I have concerns about um, her experience when it comes to national security matters. You know, we've got the war going on between Russia and Ukraine. You have the conflict in the Middle East between Israel and Hamas, and then you have the looming war. Hopefully, it doesn't come with China. And I really don't feel confident that Vice President Kamala Harris can deal with all that. I really don't. Now, issues within the country, okay, yeah, I think so. But even then, I have my questions about that. So, I, to be honest, I'm torn. I really am. Like, this is the first time I can remember where it's almost like, do you want a peanut butter jelly sandwich or do you want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? It's like they're
Mm,
both the same. I
mm.
don't see one better than the other. And I think it goes far beyond your party affiliation. I think there are concerns with both candidates, but I will admit, with what we have right now, prior to this announcement that you just brought up, I was leaning more towards the right.
Mhm.
But we will see. Anyway.
So I brought up a point, said, maybe Kamala
Ooh, I like that
Harris
one.
was
Go
put
ahead.
in there for voters, and Seal said, "What voters?" And he said, "Hashtag Black votes." Not only the African American votes, but anybody of color or anybody of the minority, including women, to have their vote. Because you remember, it was a huge deal to have the first vice president be a woman. Huge deal.
Mhm.
And I think that's where the narrative was not only was she a woman, but she also was African American. And I just think that was a way to push to get over President Trump at the time. That's just my personal feeling about it. That's just, and wait, this is what I'll say about these debates. Part of the reason I retired because I don't want to be in the military for any of it. I hear you. I hear you. I'm not even going to say anything negative about 2C's line. I get it. I think a lot of people doesn't want to join because of it. So I get why people don't want to stay. I will say this, and I'll get off the soapbox. When they debate back and forth, what I can't stand is when people say, "Oh, this is the new Hitler. He's going to destroy democracy if you vote for this person." Like, it's not that deep. It really isn't that deep. That's never going to happen. You could put me as president and Philly, DC as my vice president. We still wouldn't mess up democracy. Like, that's not going to happen. We're not going to turn into the Hitlers and just do whatever and just ramble crazy no matter who the president is. So when you debate back and forth, I think back to like high school debates, you don't go at the person. And I think prior to Trump and Hillary, it wasn't really like that, even though I think it was Trump and McCain maybe started that. Maybe in the Obama, I forgot who he was going against first time. I can't think of his name
Trump?
right now. No, Obama, the first time.
McCain.
Anyway, it was McCain.
Mhm.
Okay.
McCain
So
and Palin ticket.
yeah. So, yeah. So, they never went like at each other personally. And I think once Trump started doing it, they were like, oh, this is what we have to do to win. So let me jump on the train and start doing it too. Like, why can't you just talk about what you're going to do for the, thank you, Seal John. It was John Kerry. You're right. Thank you. Talk about what you're going to do for the country. Talk about how, because Democrats and Republicans have different thought processes. Just talk about your thought process. Talk about how that's important for the next 4 years and move on. Like, I ain't got to attack nobody personally. Your thoughts, and then I kind of want to hear your thoughts because I don't think you really gave them as far as President Biden pulling out of the race this late in the game, because I really think there's a couple states that vote early. And now what are they going to do? But go ahead.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify something. So I think it was, you said Seal said John Kerry?
Yeah, I think it was John Kerry.
You talking about when Obama won his election, the first one, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't John Kerry. It was McCain and Palin that he went up against.
Who was the second time then?
Second time it was that's a good point. It wasn't John Kerry, because is John Kerry Republican or Democrat?
Go ahead, look it up.
Anyway,
I'll look it up.
I don't think it was. But anyway, so here's my thoughts on President Biden.
Romney.
So
it was Romney. McCain.
Romney. Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead. Yep.
McCain and Romney. Thank you. Okay. So for President Biden, man, it's unfortunate because I think when President Biden came along and he went up against Trump and he won, I think he was the right candidate at the right time. Personally, I was a fan of Hillary Clinton. Personally, I wanted her to win, but obviously some stuff came out and it hurt her chances. But I think President Biden came on as he was the right candidate at the right time. Now, I think for whatever is going on with President Biden as far as his health or whatever issues is going on, I don't think he can beat former President Trump now. I think he's got too much stuff going on. There's a couple of issues that folks bring up about President Biden that I think, when you go up against Trump in a debate, he's going to go at you.
Yeah.
And they used to call, President Biden Scrappy Joe and stuff like that, right? And it's true. Like, he was scrappy, man. He'd go at you. And I think that's a lot of people, he appealed to a lot of people. But I think for now, he's lost some of that fight. And when it comes out in spurts. And they need him to be on point all the time, because that's one of the issues they're trying to bring up. The other party, the Republican Party, is that he's not fit to be president. Now, I will say this, and I will get off the soapbox. For the Republican Party, one of the things that's amazing, and everybody has different views on it. That's why, I don't want to go too deep into it. Like,
anything that comes from Unpopular Celebrities Podcast is all unofficial. None of the conversations or comments from us or guests represent the DOD or the armed forces.
You hype.
Yeah, hit the gym. What's your gym workout look like? All right, we'll get it. Man, what's going on? Oh, that works. That works.
You need Philly DC, but I think you can only hear it, but we can't.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. I don't like that. We'll get that worked out. We'll get that. Coach P, what's up? What's good with you?
Another beautiful day here in beautiful sunny Arizona. As I look out the window now and see that sun telling me to stay inside.
For real.
Beautiful day. You ain't been outside yet.
I went out earlier, went to the gym, and hurry up and came right back home.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's what gym you went to?
EOS, right up here off Bell Road. Little 5-minute drive. Yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up. What am I saying, man? I'm trying to figure out why these sounds don't work. But anyway, it's pissing me off right now. But we'll go back to zero. Anyway, Coach, man, tell the people who you are, where you're from. Tell them about yourself a little bit before we start grilling with questions.
All right. Coach Paris Daniel. Everybody called me Coach P. I don't know how that started, but that seems to be the thing now. Originally from Chicago, Illinois. Retired. Yeah, as you can't tell, retired out of Luke here in 2014, arrived here in 2012, 2014. Took a couple of leap years, gap years, as I like to tell my wife, where I basically just sort of hung out for a little bit. Went down, worked at the VA, 2006 16, 17 time frame. Then moved here on base in 2000 and let's see, I've been at the education office now since 2020, I believe, sometime around there. And I've been coaching the base basketball team since 2018.
Man, 2018. That's what's up. So tell me we'll start at the beginning. I'm sure you played ball or played some kind of sports back in the day. So tell me about your growing up playing sports.
I grew up playing sports, most like, everybody else. It was the era where kids actually played outside. Baseball, basketball, football, did all that, in grammar school, through high school, joined the military. And, I always say if there was a flag football Hall of Fame, I'd definitely be in that. That without a doubt, for them years at Barksdale and Yakota, because I was a terror out there. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind. And played on, varsity basketball teams, pretty much every base that I was at. One of those guys, much like yourself, intramurals. Intramurals was like life. I was that airman that, if I couldn't get off work and go to a game, I really was walking around there mad, like contemplating, like, what if I just walk off the flight line and go anyway? That type stuff, right? So that's how that's how much it meant to me. Like, how much trouble could I get in if I just go play and then come back? I'm coming back. So how mad can they be? That's type of guy I was. Which I sort of remembered that when I became a supervisor, when I was in those situations, those positions, because I knew how much it mattered to me. And I think that's something that's been lost in supervision right now. Especially what I see in Luke, but that's a whole nother subject. And just one of those guys, like most red-blooded American males, I just love sports. Always have, always will. Fun fact, I don't say never wanted to coach basketball, but never thought I would coach basketball. My first year coaching was at Lake and Heath in 2012. But to back up real quick to explain how it happened, in 2011, I happened to walk by the mirror and I didn't like what I saw. Somehow I become skinny fat. And I, living that master sergeant life, I was in a section. I had 104 people underneath me in my section. So I would get to work every day about 5:30 and I wouldn't leave till about 5 or 6. So that became the norm, between the work stuff and the EPRs and just, I felt like I was going to see the first shirt 2 or 3 times a day, with that many people. It was just always something. So I figured, what's the best way to get in shape? I'll go and, go to basketball practice. So I go ask coach. I said, hey, coach, can I come to practice? I just want to, do cardio with you guys. He said, yeah, no problem. So for about 2-3 weeks, I'm just out there doing cardio. Beginning of practice, they run, do all this stuff. I do that. Then I get my bags going to the house. Then he goes, hey, so I was thinking, you want to help us, in practice every now and then. I need a couple, extra bodies, I know you've been around at the time. I'm like 40. I'm like, sure, why not? Right? So I start practicing with him. They were getting ready to use safety. He goes, hey, you want to go to use safety with us? I said, you sure? He said, yeah. I said, okay. So I killed myself in the gym about 3 weeks before we left. I'm doing 2-a-days. I'm doing all types of stuff. My wife looked at me like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm locked in, right? I'm like, about to go make it happen. Went there, played a decent tournament, definitely didn't embarrass myself. So that next season, head into the season, I'm like, I'm a hooper again. Like, I'm back. I'm like, let's go. And, I'm sitting in the gym. A lot of you guys know, a lot of bases, Saturday morning basketball is sort of a big thing.
Yes, sir.
So we Lake and Heath, and, we playing Saturday morning ball. We just finished. And, the guys are talking about the base basketball team. And they're like, yeah, well, this guy named Dan is going to coach us. And, P, you should help him coach. I said, help coach? Man, I'm trying to play. What are you talking about? So I'm sitting over here mad. I'm like, what the hell that mean? What they trying to say to me? Right. So they lead a gym, and I'm sitting there in this meeting. This one retired senior master sergeant, Vernon Turnbull, which is crazy because his son is Lieutenant Turnbull, the station here in Luke now, and plays on the team.
Yeah.
Right. And I can remember his son being there in the gym with us, and at the time he's about 11 to 12 years old. it's funny how life works, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and he's talking to me and he's going, so you gonna take him up, to coach? I said, hell no, TB. I said, first of all, I don't know nothing about coaching, man. I'm like, I really don't even know what them dudes do. I don't want nothing to do with that. He goes, well, I put it to you like this. If they ask you to coach, it's because they respect you and they think you know basketball. Otherwise, they wouldn't have to ask you. It's like, you think they ask you because they don't think that you know what you're doing, even though you don't know what you're doing?
Right.
And I said, damn, okay. I said, all right, fair enough. So I said, all right, I'll do it. So I was assistant coach under this guy named Dan. But whenever we would seem to go to Germany, Dan would never make the trip. Something always came up. Now I'm just assistant coach. All I want to do is like sit there and like count fouls and just, hey man, you got it. I'm just sort of here, right? So I go there and first game, we're about to take the tip and everybody look at me like, coach, what we doing? And I'm like, shit, I don't even know if I got my clipboard, right? So that's where it all started. He ended up leaving during that season. And our first year, we made it to the youth safety championship game and lost to a stacked team over there in Germany. Fast forward, I come here to Luke. I get here in 2012. I was assistant coach here. A lot of people don't even know that, for a guy named Monty when I first got here that first year. But that team, it was extremely civilian laden team, and quite honestly, we were very bad.
Mm-hmm.
We were very bad. So after that year, I decided, okay, I'm through with basketball, because it was just a lot of things going on, and I was like, I don't want no conflict over military basketball. I'm not gonna fight with coach over this, because it was certain guys on the team that wanted me to stay, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do that to him. That's not how I do business. I'm like, he was here, it's his team. God bless you. Go ahead. So I forgot about it. Fast forward 2018, I'm coming to Luke and I'm watching games and I see Pete's over here coaching with another guy. Can't remember that guy's name.
I can't. His name slipped me off top.
Yeah,
off top of my head.
Not Kendrick, but I can't. It'll come to me during the show. Yeah. So something happens. I know you had stepped away from it, and he stops me in the gym and he goes, "Hey man, I heard you used to coach a little basketball." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, we might need a coach." I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Well, Pete's not coaching anymore. Looks like I'm gonna have an assignment and yada yada yada." I said, "Okay." I said, "Okay." I tell you what. I said, "I ain't gonna make no promises." I said, "That's what I do though." I said, "I'll come to practice. Just let me come to practice, hang out, and get a feel for this, because coaching really wasn't in my mind."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Okay, no problem." So I go to my first practice. The guys are coming in because I used to come watch you guys play. I was one of the few fans sitting over there because I'm like, oh, they playing. I'm gonna go watch, right? So I'm sitting over here, and I'm talking to London and Boyd and them dudes, and like, hey man, y'all need to be better. I used to always mess with them, like, y'all need to be better. And he introduces me to the team, and right after he does that, he goes, "Hey, by the way, this is y'all new coach." I didn't bring a whistle. I'm just coming to watch. I'm really like, I want to see what y'all do. Let me hang out for a while and then let me see, right? Yeah. He's like, "This y'all new coach." So they all looking at me like, and I'm like, "Well, I'm guessing y'all new coach." And that's where I've been here ever since.
Man, that's a crazy story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, what you got?
Yeah. So, piling on top of that. So now that you got, a couple of championships under your belt and experience, who's like a coach that you want to like emulate your coaching style toward? Like, I know you have your own, but like, is there a coach out there you inspired? Like, hey, this is who I want to be to, get my team to realize this about basketball and life.
Bobby Knight.
It's a couple. I played for a guy named Joseph Triggs at Edwards. He's called him Boogie. Best coach I ever had when I was in the military, because I think he was the first coach I ever had that was really structured in the way he did things. At the time, I'm a veteran player, and I still talk to him every now and then, and I tell him, some of the things that you do, I still do as far as like the secondary break. I still run the secondary break that I learned under him. I just thought he was a very good coach. When I first started coaching, my guys were Tom Izzo and Shaka Smart.
Oh, damn.
Those are my guys that I really, really watched a lot. Shaka Smart, because of the way he was just on the sideline, the intensity. It was almost like it was all, you almost felt like he was playing. And Izzo, just because of the amount of plays that he ran, and I always felt like I was learning something watching him. And I know you guys been stationed overseas quite a bit. And they used to remember they had the AFN commercials. They used to have the AFN commercials where they used to show Michigan State, and they had a couple of plays, and one of them was called Hands Down. I still remember. And I remember watching that commercial, and every time it come on, I would run in the room and sit there and stare at that commercial because I'm like, I'm gonna learn this play. So those were my first two, I would say, inspirations. Now I watch a lot of Ty Lue, Steve Kerr. Yeah, Ty Lue, just because of his demeanor and how he carries himself during the game. Yeah. He's never rattled. He's always in control. Dan Hurley, offensive genius. I watch Connecticut, and I won't see the same set twice in a game. Does a lot of elevator things, does a lot of things off rub screens, a lot of zoom action, a lot of grenade handoffs. Very, very,
they
very.
Said he's trying to be the head coach of the Lakers. Like he's in contention.
That's and wild. Calvin Sampson. I watched Calvin Sampson from Houston, and my guy Brad Underwood from Illinois. Because of what they do on the defensive end, especially Underwood and Sampson. So I would say that those guys are guys that I really watch, and I learn every time I watch them coach.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy. So I guess we have a question. I don't really want to ask this question, but Dana says, how does a basketball coach effectively coach a loser cannot play like Dominic Peterson? I don't know who he's talking about.
A loose cannon player.
Oh, a loose cannon player.
Loser player.
Yeah,
loose cannon
player. So how do you coach your loose cannons?
Your hotheads.
I don't have them because
you do.
That's something that we don't go through during the game because I'm the only hothead during the game. So we is part of the culture. Something I don't believe in, like players getting text, is part of it. The discipline is instilled since the day one in training camp. There are some guys that's more emotional, and that's fine. You can be who you are, but you always got to keep it within the team concept.
Yeah,
that's my. So I don't deal with a lot of that type stuff. I'll just sit you over there and let you go through whatever it is you're going through, and we'll talk about it after the game. Because honestly, not all, but a lot of guys that do that is a matter of them being unselfish at that moment, and at that time they put themselves above the team. Yeah, that's why I don't allow that stuff, because it'll spiral, and at that moment they will make it about them. In the last 5 minutes, they will get a doggone tech because they didn't like a foul call, and they're making it about them instead of about the bigger picture, which is the team. So you have to curtail that. And at the end of the day, players will always say the same thing: Coach, I just want to win. And I see that with a lot of NBA guys. Coach, I just want to win. I'm passionate. No, you don't. You want to win on your own terms.
Yeah,
but you don't want to win on our terms, and that's the difference.
Yo, Faith said, you coach them the same way you coach the Danas in the world. Thank Faith. We love you, Faith. Dana, don't worry about Hooked on Phonics. Hooked on Phonics is so old. Say it's like Chat GTP or something. Say something that's like dictionary.com. Say something more relevant. Can't just keep going the same thing. Oh, we're going to get into the WNBA. So, matter of fact, we'll get into it right now because we like to ask our questions from our audience. Dale, take this one so I don't look like a fool again.
Oh. I got you. All right. Dana Council, also known as Philly DC, said, what does the coach think or what does Coach P think about a player like Caitlin Clark? How would we handle a player polarizing such as here, and they join his team? Man, he can't talk. How would he?
Yeah, he
How would
can't
you
spend.
balance? Yeah, how would you balance their impact versus other players?
Well, so basically, what you're talking about is like a guy like a Darian Donald that came to our team, all Team USA performer.
Shout
I
out to
think
Darian.
I think the first thing you do with those players is you have to immediately let them know that they aren't bigger than the team, that
Yes.
they're part of the team. Now, understand it's different on that level, right? Because you're dealing with sponsors and salaries and media and interviews and all those things, right? But behind closed
Right.
doors, what you have to do is you take your best players like a Caitlin Clark, right? Is something that I do with guys that I've heard NBA coaches talk about. I heard Eric Spoelstra talk about this. If I'm going to have a film session, when we have a film session and we're going through that part of things that we didn't do right, I'm always going to start with him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always going to start
Okay.
with my best players. And I do a little thing I do where I line everybody up, and I line everybody up 1 through 18 or 20, no matter how many players I got. Learned that from Coach Triggs at Edwards that I mentioned earlier. At the time when he did it, I thought it was brutal. The way he lined us up and went 1 through, I want to say at the time 17, and like, this is what you do, this is why you're here. And at the time, I'm like,
Okay.
damn, coach, this sort of tough, right? But it was brilliant
Yeah.
because it establishes roles. Because a lot of times you'll hear players go, I don't know what my role is. No, no, no,
Mm-hmm.
no. We're going to establish that in front of everybody. There are really no
Okay.
secrets here, right? So with her, I would do the same thing I did with Donald. You're my best player, which means you can't just get the most points. You got to get the most rebounds. You got to get the most assists. You have to take the most
Mm.
charges. You have to be best at everything if you're our best player.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
that's how I would handle her and remind her that yes, when you're the best, then you're heavy as the head to wears the crown, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you're gonna get more credit for when we do good, which means when we aren't doing good, you're gonna get that as well. Um, um, that's that's how I handle those type players to make sure that they know that they're part of the team and not separate. Not, well, this is me and that's those guys. They lost. I did my part, but they lost that game.
Yeah.
That's something you can't never have. Also, too, that garners um respect from the rest of the team when they see that, especially when that player accepts that. Because if I could get on Darian Donald and tell him, hey man, that was some BS during film session, of course, when I get to the 12th, 13th man, he ain't gonna have no problem with it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where
Yeah.
coaches run into trouble is when they don't do that and they don't hold those guys accountable and they hold the back end players accountable. Your eighth, your ninth man, you're getting on him about turnovers, but not your best players. So you have to always make sure to balance that out.
But I guess what happens when you have, and I don't want to call them a losing team, but I mean
Hmm.
they're a team that I'm talking about Caitlin Clark. I think she plays for the
Hmm.
Fever, but I
Hmm.
think
Yeah.
their team only won 2 or 3 games out of I don't know
Hmm.
6 or
Three
7.
games. 3 games now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but they're on TV like every game. So I
Hmm.
guess how do you handle the best coach, or excuse me, the best player on your team when you have a losing team that you can obviously tell you're not going to win a lot of games? Like, yo, just go out and get yours. Don't worry about it because we'll be better later.
Because winning is part of the process. I mean, losing is part of the process. It's
Yeah.
very hard and very rare for any team or any coach to come in and automatically have success. I look at when I first got here, 2018, we won the Pac West tournament, went to the NBA Finals, won 2 games, lost a game in overtime. That was done. That 2019 season, we weren't a very good team. We're about a 500 basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
When
Mm.
COVID came in and shut us down in 2020, when everybody walks in the gym and they look at all the banners we got up, they don't remember the losing before those
Right.
banners, right?
Right.
And if
Oh
we
yeah.
don't go through things we went through, like in 2018 when we went to the NBA Finals and when we had 6 players in 2019, and I always tell people that was a very important year because that was a very important year for myself because I felt like I learned a lot and I grew a lot from everything that we were going through and losing those games. I knew what it was like to go to a tournament and go 0-3 and get a T-shirt and then come back home. Right. So a lot of my guys, they don't remember that. You know, now when we go, we're either winning or, you know, we're winning games, we're in the Final Four. We're always doing something, you know. So a lot of those guys don't know what it's like to go there and go 0-3, be done on Saturday, and your flight not till Monday. We went there. We went to the NBA Finals in 2019, and we went 0-3. We lost the game to the team that ended up winning the championship by 8 points. I only had 6 players. One of the guys fouled out. I had to play. The second game, we lost to the Air Force prep team in overtime. The third game, we were playing Cannon. They were ranked 5th at the time. We have 6 guys. They're up about 14 points, and we rally and win that game. And that was one of the most important wins that we've ever had, because I think that let us know that we can do it. Right? So that's part of that process. And that's what you have to instill in your team. And I'm looking at these questions right here, and it's always Jordan over LeBron. I mean,
yeah, we're gonna get to that. Yeah, we can get to that.
Yeah. I was saying that for the last question.
Yeah. Dale has the question for you.
Yeah, and I know the coach at DM. Yeah, he is. He's a cool dude. Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of these tournaments and stuff like that, so with college, you know, coaches have the benefit of getting film from games and stuff like that. So how does it work for Air Force? How do you got, or not all armed forces? How do you prep for teams that y'all never seen or played before, or do you just worry about your team specifically?
Well, it's a combination. There's a lot more film out there now on teams, because teams put a lot of their things on Facebook. So that's where I do a lot of scouting. They'll go, or the tournaments. I watch tournaments in the past that teams go to, and I watch them play. That's why.
You're proactive.
Yeah, and Luke. That's why when a lot of times during our.
I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done. Keep my hands off.
I am doing fine.
To be lucky, you got to be blessed, and you got to know who winners are. Winners associate with winners to win. And I was fortunate to be around winners all my life. And from that Sherman Tank Commander, Mr. Hayes, all the way down to my first high school in Tucson, we won the state championship there with winners, and at SC with winners, and with Bill Walsh with winners, and with the military that I've been doing missile defense with for 40 years, winners. So there's a lot of factors that go with that, but certainly courage, certainly belief, intensity. You got it. You got to own it.
Man, it's inspiring already. We just 11 minutes in. We already inspired. Yeah. So you say you won a high school championship. Who was somebody on your team that you remember from high school, or do you remember anybody?
Man, check this out, because I came from a cowboy ranch, and I went to high school in Mingus my first year, played Indian Tuba City in Winslow, Arizona, that Eagle song. I mean, crazy stuff. And then my mom moved down to get a PhD at University of Arizona, and we lived at the top of Canyon, you know where that is, Dana, up at the top there. And my stepdad was the headmaster of Fenster School. And then there was a new high school that was opening up called Sabino. I could see it from my house. That's where Gooey, our Northcom commander, played safety. Hey, by the way, all our badasses in the military, all our badass 4-star generals are damn free safety, strong safeties, man. If we can name them. I was just with Stevie Donahue, Gooey, like, the big boys, can play that game. And I love my strong safeties. But I rode a horse bareback across, like a half mile open desert to go and try out for the football team. I got off my horse. Coach said, "Who are you?" and I said, "I live over here." He said, "Well, you can't play for us." So I got on my horse and rode away. And then I went to the rival high school down at downtown Tucson Amphitheater as a sophomore. Got on, started on the varsity team, and then ended up winning the whole damn state championship of Arizona, the biggest league, my first year. So we had Jim Cron, who was one of the record quarterbacks at the University of Arizona, played. I think he played in the Canadian Football League. And Steve Dooley. We had about 2 or 3 guys that got in scholarships. But it was a great school and a great coach. It was mostly Mexican Americans, and that was it. You know, it was cool.
Wow. So Ricky, when you joined the NFL after your tenure in USC, like, did you have any doubts that you had the right talent to be effective in the NFL? Like, what was your thoughts like?
Hey man, if you doubt, you're out. You heard that shit? You don't doubt. You gotta.
Hey, let me drop a bomb for that one. If you doubt, you out. I like that.
Hey, look. At SC, that first, I played that game. My freshman year, the first quarter, I got my left knee blown out, anterior cruciate blowout, medial collateral blowout, and they taped it up. This is back in the day. I played the rest of that game with a torn medial collateral, anterior cruciate.
Good.
And the next year, I played a game. I played the whole year out, but also had to have that surgery again on it. So I didn't think I was going to the NFL. Didn't think I was going to play in the NFL. But during that time frame, I had to get a career. And I was in school. My mom put me in engineering, man. I struggle with engineering. I struggle with calculus. But I had to get out of it. Also, I'd be academically ineligible. So I got into this course, man, with Ronald Reagan's National Security Advisor, 1980. And I get Edward Teller, the damn nuclear physicist, as my lecturer. I mean, boom, boom, and they throw down saying, "Hey, we're going to offset Russia. We're going to offset because we can't put the MX missiles in play. We're going to offset them with strategic missile defense and strategic defense initiative." Yep. So I was at the birth of the critical academic thinking in 1980 as a young sophomore in college, exposed to creating a missile defense system that would break the Soviet Union and that would defend our world, our nation, against ballistic missiles with nuclear weapons. So I fell in love with that. So that happened right there in 1980. Just like talk about cauldrons, that was a cauldron of PhDs that were going from that program into Washington, D.C. That's your network, just like the NFL. All my guys on my NFL, my SC team, we had 4 NFL Hall of Famers on my team. 2 Heismans, and at least 36 of us in the NFL on that team.
Yeah.
That's some badass stuff. So our practices were more violent, more competitive than any game we played against each other. That's the deal. It was easy to play games after practice and that stuff. And that was whoo. But getting back, I mean, you play at SC, baby. You could play any team in the NFL. I went to before National SC. It was cake compared to practice I had to deal with on run drill. And back in our day, we didn't give a shit. We had 3 plays. We tell you what we're going to play, and we'll still kick your ass. And we had a very simple defense. It didn't matter. We weren't scheming or demon. We were the biggest, baddest, meanest, fastest, most talented team in the nation. And we played that way. We had 3 offensive plays, student body right, student body left, and dive. We had 2 defenses, and that was it.
Ain't no.
No, real quick, just gonna tell everybody, just a reminder, as Pete said it, like, this is the corner. So this is your opportunity to get on the show, chop it up with us, talk about whatever you want. We're gonna take good care of you. Faith, I see you out there. I know Faith usually gets on too. So if you're brand new to the show, how it works is, if you want to get on the show, there should be a link. If Pete did his job in the comments down there, click the link, and then once you click the link, you'll be directed to this guy named Pete. He's kind of weird, but give him a chance. He'll get it all worked out, and then he'll put you on the show. And again, you can talk about us, what we're talking about, or you can talk about whatever you want. So, first thing I would like to throw out there is, did y'all see the post from the Air Force Times about General Wilsbach, a.k.a. Comac, talking about bringing back standards? It was the rave of the internet in many ways. What are y'all thoughts on that?
So since I'm the retiree in the room right now, I just thought, retiring out of ACC, it was always one of those things that you are looking at like standards. But as a senior leader in those units, sometimes I think I reflected back on like, are we empowering our senior NCOs? And we're also senior NCOs when you're serving in those SEL positions. But what are you doing to make sure standards and dress and appearance are first line supervisor issues? I will always believe that. Even for me, I'm going to be a junior ROTC instructor, and we still have to uphold those same standards. So it's like, what am I doing to illustrate to my people? Like, hey, this is what you can do, and this is what you should not be doing just because you want to try it. Now, I'll be the first to say, I push the limits on everything wholeheartedly. And even, what went so viral with my nails, with my shadow box, I was like, I'm gonna be honest. I was so stressed out. My son had just had surgery, and then the first thing that they saw was like, "Oh, she got them Woman King nails going on, baby." I sure do. But I just think, like, can we help teach people like what the limits are? Let them explore, because I was torn when you get to, we have told people to be their true authentic self. So that was the message that I started to look at. So now when I think I pulled out the quote that he had said, and let me go back and see if I can find it. But he was basically alluding to, like, we give up so many privileges when we join the service, which is true. But then when you think about what we have introduced to our force, meaning being your true authentic self, people don't find their true authentic self in what complements them in their uniform. So that's my thing. It's like, yes, standards are important. I remember saying, if you can't handle the smallest details, that means I can't trust you with the biggest things that require you to accomplish the mission. But where do we find that healthy medium? Well, we just had, leadership in the military, or specifically in the Air Force, that said, hey, we want you to bring your true authentic self to work. These are your left and right parameters. Explore your left and right parameters. But now it's like, you about to suit it and boot it, because we need you to be ready for great power competition.
I'm kind of, you know what? Like, it's cool. I think the weird part to say it's cool, but okay, I get the point. I do, but I think putting a message out for standards is not a one and done thing. It needs to be constant. And when it's not constant, it feels like we're always coming back around. Like we started, we try to let the wheel run itself, and then it's like, oh, the wheels fell off. Let's go ahead and bring it back around. So it should be a constant thing. And if it's not going to be constant, it's kind of like, what's the point? So I get what he's saying. I applaud him for doing something. I think the way it goes about it, like, if you have to direct people to do open ranks, then what are you really doing? It's almost like mandatory that you have to make sure people are within standards. And I think there was a video a while, man, this might have been 5-6 years ago, and they were talking about the Air Force retention. I think the Armed Forces of retention. They were talking to Congress, and the Marines said, basically, we don't care about retention. Like, we have a standard in which what it takes to become a Marine, and if you don't live up to it, you won't be that. And if you do, you will, and we'll call you Marine, and that's it. Like, we're not gonna go off of our standards because our retention rates are 20% lower or 10% lower. Now, let me say this up front. I do not want to be a Marine. Shout out to the Marine Corps and what they do. Y'all can do y'all thing, and I appreciate for what y'all do, because it ain't gonna be me. So I like the Air Force. I love the Air Force and what they do and what we do. But I think our standards has fluctuated so much, and this general is trying to get him back on board. I think he's starting with ACC, which should be the command that we start with. Might as well start with the Air Combat Command to get it off and running. But I wonder if other 4-stars will pick up on it as well. Go ahead, Philly.
Hey, before I get into my response, if you're out there in the audience, this is a perfect opportunity for you to jump on. Again, first person gets on gets a free gift. And I know there's plenty of folks out there that's got some comments and things they want to kind of bring up on this topic. So feel free to jump in. So I'm going to play devil's advocate. Because I do. Oh, wait a minute.
I just
Some
found
girl
a quote.
named Jessica Blair said, but I'm just
That's
kidding.
crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy.
All right. So, as an all volunteer force, we willingly relinquish a portion of our individual freedoms. Okay. Thank you, Jess. That was perfect timing because I will be honest, I'll play devil's advocate. So I'll say, just hear me out. Let me time myself. To Pete, just say thumbs up or thumbs down when my time is over, so I don't go over my time. Okay. So I kind of agree. And here's why. Like when I came in, being from Philadelphia, just like many of you folks can attest, like I had a high top fade. I had my little Big Daddy Kane coin slots in, and I wanted to join the Air Force. And it was like, yo, you can't do that. You can't have like a high top fade. It's gotta be in these particular standards. And I didn't understand why. I was like, what's the big deal? Like, that doesn't stop me from, carrying a weapon or defending my country. But I went and did it. Then when I went out and I snuck and got my nose ring and I put like a clear piece of my nose to keep it open and put some makeup from my wife on there, and my flight chief called me, I was like, yo, what's the big deal? It's just a nose ring. Well, you can't have nose rings in the military, standard.
Wait a minute,
So
you had a nose ring?
yeah, I still
That's why
got
I'm
it.
taking it back. Like he had
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't always a super sharp chief as you know now. You know what I'm saying? I was bugging back in the day. You know what I'm saying? I still got it. I can't wait till I retire. I'm gonna start putting it in anyway.
Oh
That's
my.
now. But anyway, I digress. So I think, at least from my opinion, the way I read it, I think what General Wilsbach is getting to is it's partly our fault. And I'll get into that later in the show. Because just to your point, I think we are trying to let folks serve in the military and not give up. Maybe not. I think the intent is not to give up all of who you are in order to be in the military. If you are a Christian, if you are a member of LGBTQ, if you believe in the Norse God, it doesn't mean you still can't serve your country. So, unlike back in the day when I joined, they allow you to express that. I remember back in the day, like, and maybe it's the same way, but like even religious like jewelry, you had to tuck that stuff in. You couldn't have it out. And I know it's the same way now. But in some cases, like if and you have different, like say if you're um forgive me if I get this wrong, if you're Samoan, you can wear the necklaces that they wear or something like that in your service dress or something. Anyway, so I think the problem is we gotten so far over to the right. There are folks that believe like, look, this is who I want to be. I'm not changing nothing. I still want to serve. And there are folks out there who are following the standard, but there's a large amount of folks who are not. That's taking it to the nth degree. And I hate to be that guy to bring up Beers. Beers is a perfect example. And I would not be surprised. Beers is very much added to this equation for what General Wilsbach said.
Oh, 100%.
Because these folks that are wearing these beards, like these religious accommodations, I mean, it's gotten to a point. I would love to see the statistics on how many religious accommodations were denied. I would imagine, if I were to guess, I would imagine less than 5%, maybe. Anyway,
So let me
ask. I'm past 2 minutes, so I'm gonna be quiet.
Let me ask a question. Like, what do you think the point of this is? So I do my open ranks, whatever, and I find somebody, and it says, you know what, in his little comment, he said 3620 out there. He said, like, wear of the uniform. What am I making sure that he has his patches on? He has his everything's in the right spot, because really it's wash and wear. Go ahead, Jess.
Wear the uniform, because I always think about like some uniforms have not changed to a degree for women. Like when you think about the wear of the uniform, a lot of us are a lot curvier. So we're doing everything we're supposed to do. But when you have these uniforms that don't complement our bodies, then it starts to get into, okay, you're not wearing the uniform properly. But again, when you are having these people model or be like your beta, where's the diversity in the body structures of these women to make sure that the uniform complements various types of women? I get that you want to say like, what is the standards? But I fully believe like if you can pass your PT test, but you look like, bam, 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 get that person to go be on your beta test to measure these uniforms. That's what I'm saying. Because all you're asking that person to do is pass their standards. Because we know how it is. I've been in a PME environment where people have seen people and was like, oh, that person don't look like the professional image. Why? Because they don't look like a pistol that's about to blow away. Like I've seen people that are extremely, appearance wise, they look like they're in fit or in shape. and can't make 1 or 2 damn laps around the track without getting winded. So what I'm saying is, just because it looks aesthetically pleasing doesn't always mean like that is the right way.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why I was thinking. Like, okay, 36-20 on 3, I get it. Like the face, like shaving and all that haircuts, like that's pretty standard. And I think if somebody's out of whack, somebody will say something to them. I don't think you need to open ranks. Where before, like I remember the BDU days, you know, you had to have your boots polished or had a polished appearance. Your blouse, your pants had to be bloused a certain type of way. You know, usually your I think your uniform had to be ironed or lightly ironed or something like that. But so I understand those. Obvious, and then the other thing he said was observance of customs and courtesy. How am I gonna observe that in an open ranks?
So I'm gonna be honest. You know why I think it's there in the open ranks? Because think about so many. I'll use Force Support Squadron for an example. You have at
Shout
least
out
13
FSS.
flights. So with those 13 flights, like everyone is dispatched in different areas. So if you have this open ranks that will collectively bring everyone together, I hate to say it, now you get to have command teams who get to place a name with a face. And then you got to think about like all the different shift work as well. Now you're forcing people to have these things together to where you are able to see your people. So I just don't think it's just based off of dress and appearance. I think it's a much deeper issue that they're trying to achieve as well with these open ranks.
Go ahead.
I agree. Yeah,
I guess
I agree.
as a cop, it's like, man, we do open ranks every freaking day. Well, we don't do open rank. Well, kind of we do. We have guard mount every day.
We have a formation every
formation.
day.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you.
But I haven't been in a unit in a while, so I remember like back in the days, we knew. Well, we know that you're going to do guard mount at least once a month, at least once a month. And sometimes they throw you a curveball. You'll do 2 or 3 times a month, depending on the morale of the flight and how well they performed. If you had like a flight that always had a lot of issues, like bad uniforms, they would do multiple guard mounts. I remember one flight we did guard mount for every day for 3 weeks because some of the folks' uniforms was jacked up. So anyway, I was going to say I agree with Jess. Is like I don't think it's just for uniform. I think it's just to put eyes on the airmen in the formation, and people get this idea it's more than just security forces or any other career field that do formation. Like when you see people, sometimes people just come to work and they just go off in their little offices, cubbies, or whatever, and start working. And some supervisors don't even know their airmen at all. Like don't even know them. Like they're like, so and so had a baby. Who? Who's that? Where they work? They don't know them. So this is a way to kind of like I think reverse the clock and go back and say, hey, like people are important. Let's set up a formation where you see them. Now, dress and appearance does have a factor in this because if you notice, like there were posts on different like retailer sites that sell uniforms that was like, hey, we have more service short sleeve shirts if you want to come in and get them to prepare for your inspection. Obviously, some retailers are making some money off of this, but how many people are running out to get their blues together? And then some people would say, well, why does it matter? Like I hardly get to wear my blues, but it's a uniform requirement. You're supposed to have your blues. I mean, you get clothing allowance every day. I mean, every year. So there's no reason why you should not have a serviceable pair of service dress uniform, especially if you're a supervisor, because you go before that commander. I don't know how it is now, but back in the day, if your troop got in trouble, you was there with them and your service dress uniform.
Yeah, I think that's all squadron specific. If they still do that or not, but I haven't seen it a lot. In my opinion, getting back to standards, order and discipline has to do more with how we operate. We have been so concerned about the why, so people feel like they belong, then have to have a force where we are united.
Little bomb up there for that one because she's right. He's absolutely right. I think
so. It's like, so here's my question. So we do these open ranks, right? We do it one time. We see a couple of discrepancies. We tell them like, "Hey, Peterson, get your hair cut." When do we do the next one?
No, because I would tell Peterson, first of all, I would walk through. my squadron as much as I can.
Right.
And then if I saw Peterson at 8 o'clock that morning, I would tell Peterson, like, hey, what you doing for lunch? If you don't have anything for lunch, let's go get that haircut. Oh, Chief, I ain't got no money. Cool, I do. So let me know what you're doing for lunch, and then we can go. And then I'm gonna go
Right.
back to the first line supervisor because I'm gonna be like, why you ain't doing this for your person? I've shown you the way. I've given you the example. So now you're gonna do this for someone else. That is how I believe if you're gonna address issues, it should be attacked. Because some people just don't know what to do. So you show them what to do, how to be. But by 12 o'clock, if Peterson's still sitting there and his neck hair and his back hair connected, pimping, get in your car or get in my car and we're going to go get that haircut and we're going to have lunch together and we're going to talk about like, hey, why did it take you so long? If you ain't got money, say that. But don't be embarrassed because you can't meet the standard and you're running around here looking like,
Yeah, I think just Philly, the response that is most popular is, but I'm within regs. That's always a response that's most popular. Go ahead, Philly. I see you about to say something. Like, it don't matter what it is. They'll be like, oh, you need to get a haircut, but I'm within regs. Oh, you need to get new boots.
I had a conversation with my boss the other day about this. And, I don't know about y'all, but I grew up in the day where the tie goes to the supervisor.
Yeah.
In other words, if case in point, I show up to work and I got a pair of boots on, my supervisor says, hey, those boots are unauthorized. And I'm like, hey, AFI says blah, 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 blah. I don't have to take them off.
Mm-hmm.
And my supervisor says, well, I don't agree with you. You need to take them off. That's not my time to sit there and argue with the supervisor. You take them off, and then you go back, y'all go look at the AFI, and then you explain to them, or you go to the next higher authority. But I think a lot of people today, they be like, oh, I'm in regs. And that's supposed to be the end of the subject. Like, in the end, the tie goes to the supervisor. Now, some people may say, well, that's not right. Like, the AFI exists for a reason. I get it. But at the same time, your supervisor is there for a reason. You should assume, hopefully, that they are mature enough and skillful enough to say, hey, look, there's some pieces I'm missing in the AFI. And maybe I may not be as well versed as you to notice the change that'll allow you to wear those boots. But until then, you need to take those off, and then I will research it later. And then if the supervisor goes back and they research it and they are indeed wrong, say, hey, look, so-and-so, my apologies. You are right. You are authorized to wear those boots. No harm, no foul.
But I think it comes to the relationships too. What I can honestly say, like, I enjoy like having females and males that will come and talk about it before they did it. And again, we're talking about like what you want to do. We're going over ways to help you do it. And that's what I enjoy as a leader. Hey, Chief, I want to get this tattoo behind my ear. Cool. What you're trying to get? And then we'll talk about, hey, the importance of it, why you're getting it, and then they'll get it. Same thing with hair color. My thing is like because I do it. I will constantly support you if you give me all the facts and just teaching people like about the healthy care of whatever they're doing. I think that's the piece too. It's like, yes, we want people to explore all the standards within their rights, but how are you going to do it in a way where it doesn't come back and number one, diminish you or diminish your mission set. The only thing, like you said, having that conversation to where it's not arguing, like that's why I said separate your neck and your back hair for a reason. Because for males, you have males that want to grow their hair out. Cool. If it's in regulation, do it. But the thing that a lot of people get when you look at males and growing their hair out, they look for that back and their neck hair because just give an appearance that, hey, it's in shape. People will leave you alone. But it is, again, we've opened the aperture so wide when we talk about what you're able to do. So instead of saying, like, I think some of us are so used to black and white where they don't have that level of creativity in them. So like, because they're not creative, they don't know how to help explain, to someone who is creative, this is how you can get it done.
So I guess like how far do we pull this, as you say, like close the aperture on this? Because if I do it at my unit, but it's not across the Air Force, then are we really moving anything? Or are we just supposed to start with what we can control and then just go from there? But it seems like
you have it. Yeah, you have it right there. Like this, when people say like, so and so from this other squadron is able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So and so from this other wing at this other base can do it. I can't. I tell people all the time, like I can't control what they do, but I can control what's in my house. So while I'm in my house, we're not doing that. Now you can go, you can send me emails or show me video that they're allowed to do it, but as far as I'm concerned, in my house, that's not what we're doing. And I think I applaud General Wilsbach for what he's doing. I mean, like it's I think maybe it's ill time because people are like kind of caught off guard, and then people try to relate his message to why their perception of why people don't want to join the military or why they want to get out the military. I mean, I love these comments when they say, "Oh, that's why people don't want to stay in the military now." I'm glad I got my warm DD-214 blanket to snuggle up in. Well, I would say you guys are part of the problem. Uh-oh. Well, he must have got a dookie or something. I'm sorry, should I what up? My bad. Anyway, real quick, so I'll just say I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Like, I think that's they're part of the problem. Like, if you are so resistant to somebody saying they want to ensure that everyone is upholding the standards, and somebody lays the gauntlet out and be like, from this point on, I'm going to hold you accountable and make sure they uphold the standards. Yes, you can look at it as, well, they should have did this before. Got it. But that doesn't mean there's no need to do it now.
It's almost what Faith said. Faith said earlier, like we tore down the walls that were important for diversity, but I'm gonna take it all the way back to Chief Master Sergeant Air Force Khalif Wright and General Goldfein. It's like you had people that were. I love their duo because if it needed to be addressed, they want to address the elephant in the room. Now, we've transitioned so quickly to where now a lot of people feel like, hold on, you about to tighten up the rope on us and you didn't give us a disclaimer or warning before. So a lot of people may be triggered when you just come out the gate and you're saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. And now being a part of the DD-214 club, I look at, especially like when I go on the gate, sometimes I'll be surprised because I don't be expected to be called chief, but some people be like, have a good one, chief. And I'll be like, oh, okay, well, thank you. You have a good day. But I find myself more so complimenting them for what they have going on with their dress and appearance. Like if I see a young male whose hair is faded or he has his curls going on that's natural, I'm like, hey, you look, and I make them laugh because I'm like, look, you look clean, neat, and serviceable. Or then I see the females with their nails and their lashes and their hair done right. I just think because we have so much going on, like when you look at the person, you just never know what a person is going through. So like your interaction with people should not be. I used to hate and my very first sergeant said this during my retirement. I used to hate like learning after the fact what they did. So my superintendent used to always tell the first sergeant, did you see Jessica this morning? And she used to say like, hey, I just came in with my coffee. And then like I would always have something. Like I remember that time I had those braids so big, but my hat was just sitting up there. And then she was like, oh, your hair looks nice. And I'm just like, Lord, here we go. But I just remember like I got tired of, I didn't want that to happen a second time. So I would go home right after work and be like, you know what? I took them braids down. Like I had literally just got them done and I had took them down because I didn't want to deal with, them constantly watching me or in my face. But now you fast forward, you have people that will, they're like, you know what? I'm going to keep my braids. And I'm like, okay, cool. If it means going to work in your civilian clothes, bringing your lunch where you don't have to leave the building and you sit at your desk with your braids rolled up, do you, boo? Mm-hmm. All I'm asking is that be mindful that a lot of people are not going to perceive it as you perceive it, but there are ways around it. Mm. And I've seen people do it. I was guilty of doing it myself. I would go to work in civilian clothes, change in the bathroom for work, sit up there with my little cute hairstyle. And at the end of the day, I made sure I didn't leave that building though.
Yeah.
And I would change back into my civilian clothes and go right back about my business. But again, like, what is it that we have not given our people? Because we're talking about, like you said, DC, retention, recruitment. I remember stopping in Auburn on my way to Georgia at the Buc-ee's. But like, you know, when you see how much people are getting paid, people are comparing it to like, why I got to stay here in these constraints when I can go out here and do these things.
Yeah. I think a couple things. First, Wembley said it's a lack of NCO development. I definitely agree with that. I think everybody's just worried about making rank and not worried about their duties and responsibility with making rank. They
But
just want to make.
Good point too. It's just not the lack of NCO development. It's the lack of senior NCO
Oh,
development.
100%.
So
100%.
like, it's a waterfall effect. So
Mm-hmm.
he's straight up. Like, it is an effect of like everything that has been a lack of, and this is the result that we're dealing with now.
Yeah. Shout out Chief Wooten. Shout out Chief Wooten. Shout out to Big 2 bombs for Big Chief Wooten. 3 bombs, 4 bombs. He gonna get mad. I just did all that.
Chief Wooten.
She gonna get mad. I did all that. But yeah, so I think there is a lack of NCO development. I think it's a lack, like you just said, Jess, a lack of everybody development. I don't think that oh man, that's gonna take another rabbit hole. But it's hard to develop people when you're not being developed. It's hard to spend time, put time into other people when nobody's putting time into you. And like you said, just a waterfall effect. Everybody's responsible for everybody. I think senior NCOs, remember, they work for their airmen. Senior NCOs work for their NCOs, and you know, chiefs work for their senior NCOs. And so it's like trying to put that work into them so they can put work into others is very important to get done. But if we're not doing that, it's going to be hard to have these standards that we want to improve, and how we're going to do it, because it's going to be a big shock effect for a lot of people. And how it's going to be done is going to seem like wrong, and you're probably going to end up on somebody's Facebook page or Facebook post, and it's like, how do you get around that? Because a lot of people actually care about that stuff. And then you got a lot of leaders that say don't worry about it, but they internally care about it. And it's like, how do you face that? Like, I don't want to be on somebody's bad post. I mean, that's got to be a shitty feeling, especially when people tell you about it. But some people just don't care. But the ones that do, they're like, oh, I don't want to say this because I don't want to end up on a post. You know, like, oh, you better not do that because you're not going to
post itself. I just like shout out to Master Sergeant Richardson. She's out in Georgia. She's a recruiter. I think she's over the marketing team. But what we talked about recently is having time. And one of those things that we also talk about time is going back to what you said. I don't like that people spend so much time on trying to get promoted that they're missing the pieces of what makes them a good person to be a great leader when they are promoted. So it's like, like my job is to help you fill in those gaps, like you said, so that when someone does correct you based off of what you have tried to help someone else with, you're not taking that to heart to where it's a detriment of you. Like, I used to always hate when someone is coming to me to address a female issue. No, that's great opportunity for you to develop some callus and learn how to direct your feedback at that woman. I was dealing with her uniform. Just be like, hey, it appears that your uniform is a little bit tight. I just want to make sure that you understand, like,